Welcome back. This is the Love Bug Show. I'm Mercy Kiari, and we are talking about culture and marriage beliefs. You can hit on our social media platforms, Facebook at Champions TV Kenya, Instagram Champions TV Kenya, or SMS us on 0706 100 100. Mr. John Ngangam, what causes law conflict in a marriage?
Before the break, we were really discussing in-law conflicts and saying that the big issue is not understanding the scriptures, that when you marry, the man must leave. And we started saying he must leave physically. You cannot be staying in one of the rooms of your mother's house and not expect conflict. Physical movement will help resolve in-law conflict. Number two, financial. We say that if you really, by the time you are marrying, you must have your own source of income. Even if you're in father's business, he needs you to assure you of a certain allowance or a certain salary so that you know what to budget. And what you do with your salary, your father has no voice in it, even if you are working in his business. But better still, you must live. But then the other thing that will mean you must also socially live. Because part of the issue that causes trouble is not living clearly. You know, we seem to be giving the impression that in-law problems are between a wife and the father and mother-in-law. But sometimes the other way around. When you leave your parents without a proper wedding, your mother, the mother of the girl and the father of the girl do not know and do not even recognize the marriage. They'll keep interfering. And by the way, this interfering is not just physical. You have have counseled people where the wife rings the mother every day. Now, even if you are physically away, if technologically you are still in your mother's home, there's a problem. It's good to love your mother, but you cannot talk to her daily of all that is happening between you and your husband. Because within no time, the husband will feel like he has married two women, the daughter and the mother, because now whatever the wife is saying, he'll be hearing the mother somewhere. So you need to understand that you must retain respect, you must continue to visit your mother. As a woman, you must continue to visit your mother, but you must cut the umbilical cord. You must show that you love. Let your parents recognize that you are no longer under them. You are now under your husband, and you have created a new home. So, and that can only be possible if you are socially seen to be apart from each other. How does that happen? That's why we do a wedding. And we call the relatives on both sides to tell them this girl is no longer the girl you knew. She now belongs to somebody else. That will help the two sides to start respecting the marriage so that there is no. But let me say, the major problem, which among the ones we are discussing, has to do with a girl who allows her mother to start directly attacking her husband. It's the responsibility of the girl to protect her husband from her father and mother. Tell them, if my husband has made you annoyed about something, talk to me. I know him. I can handle him. Because, especially even traditionally, it was accepted, you are supposed to have a certain distance, a respect for each other. I thought it's just among Africans, but the same thing I've heard about the Europeans and the Americans. There is an in-law issue that helps to create some distance. Respect, but some distance. So it's a responsibility of the girl to ensure that she comes in between, so that when the parents are unhappy with your husband, they will tell you about it. Then you know how to deal with it. So the two sides, you are the negotiator, you are the go-between, you are the reconciler. The same thing with a boy. If you hear a girl and her mother-in-law are in problems, most likely it's because the husband just watches. He sees the two of them fighting, and they still have he stands aside. In fact, he runs away. It's the responsibility of a man to protect his wife against his own father and mother, against his brothers, because sometimes it's not the father and mother. The boy's brothers are rough. We bought you. You must do this for us. They come to the house, they put legs on the chairs. He said, no. why don't you, no, you're making the chair that is, this is my brother's chair. Who are you to tell me to get it out? Then the husband comes, he told the story, he says, sorry, these are young boys. Now that means there will be in-law problems in that home, and they are being caused by a man who does not want to spend time protecting the wife against his own relatives. Why is it important that a man is the one to protect the wife from his own relatives? You know something? Your mother can remember you in your nappies. Even if you do wrong, your mother easily forgives you because he understands. This girl, your mother met this girl as an adult. She has certain expectations. When the girl says something that annoys your mother is unlikely to find it easy to forgive. But you can easily be forgiven. That's why it's much easier in sorting out in-law problems that we follow these dictates that the scripture gives us and wisdom gives us.
You're watching the Love Bug Show and you're talking about culture and marriage beliefs. Mr. Peter, what is the role of submission in conflict resolution in marriage?
There are two verses which are often read during wedding ceremonies. And one is the husbands, love your wives. And the other one is wives, submit to your husband. And what is often not read in that chapter of Ephesians chapter 6 is the verse before, wives, submit to your husbands. And it says, both wives and husbands should submit to each other. In other words, it's not just the husband it's not just the wife to submit to the man, but also the man to submit to the wife. What it means is that when there is a disagreement, each one of them should humbly admit that the other one has something maybe better to offer. As a man, I should humbly admit that maybe I'm the one who is wrong. Let me listen to my wife's idea. And then I listen keenly, then I say, I am sorry. Yeah? But unfortunately, men are thought to be the lion of the house from traditional point of view. That what I say is final. And you, as the wife, you should submit. But it's not that way. And we need, even during wedding ceremonies, not to overemphasize on the submission of the wife to the man, because this sort of brings the conflict in the sense that when you don't do what I'm telling you as my wife, you are disobeying the Bible, and you are the one who is to blame, but not necessarily. These days, girls are getting as educated as the men. They are getting as experienced as the men. They also know. It's not like the old days whereby the girls had never went to school, and the wives used to be illiterate. Like, for example, my grandparents, they never went to school. And my grandfathers, both sides, they say they should not educate the girls. But it's not these days. So we need to recognize that we are operating on equal levels in the sense that we are both made in the image of God. And if we are born again, if we are believers, the same spirit who is operating in me is also operating in my husband. So the same spirit who convicts can also convict my wife, can also convict myself. And we should submit ourselves, first of all, to God, for us to be able to submit to each other and to be attentive to each other, so that we do not allow small issues to burn into flames. This way, it will be easier to have a dialogue of an agreement and say, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Can you tell me your views? And then once we have exchanged while listening to each other, then you can say, yes, I think I'm sorry. And I must say that men are not, they don't easily say sorry. Yeah? Because of the traditional way of bringing up boys. But we must be ready to say sorry once we find you are in the wrong. And again, if we find you are not able to agree, don't take your conflicts to your parents, because chances are they are going to inflame it, because they have a different perception of marriage and relationship. It's better to go to your pastor before you go to your parents. Don't go to your parents, or get maybe your close friends who know that they are God-fearing, to be able to give you advice. They can stand in the gap to reconcile you. But don't run to your parents, because the minute you run to your parents, you are in trouble.
Basically, I agree with him in the sense that if a boy runs to his father, the father is likely to side with him. If the girl runs to the mother is, by the time they come back, the fight is even bigger. But that does not mean three things. Number one, the Bible is still clear. The husband is the head of the family. Tradition and the Bible are in agreement. We do not want anarchy in family organization. It needs to be clear that the man is the head. But to be a head does not mean to be a dictator. And I think that's the point that Peter is giving. So that's the first point. So in this relationship, you must understand there's a time for submitting to one another, but it's also understood that the man is the head of the home. Number two, that you need, the best way of resolving conflict is between the two of you. So I would encourage you to agree formulas of resolving conflict before they go to somebody else. Number two, it will be better to go to your best couple and deal with the matters. If you want somebody to overhear, assuming the best couple are not flower girls, they are people who are serious, who know the Lord and who like you and whom you have a good respect for. Beyond that, go to the pastor. Finally, you may have to still go to your parents, but you have created some process before you take them to your parents.
Can I also add that God respects authority? And that's why he said the man is the head of the family. But submitting doesn't mean that I'm inferior. It means I'm acknowledging that the other party has something to offer, and I could be in the wrong.
Thank you so much. Keep your comments coming. Our SMS number is 0706 100 100. We've come to the end of our show tonight. See you next time, same place. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Have a good night.